Welcome back to another video with your boy, the OG Frenchie. In today's video, I've got something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I'm going to be attempting some pattern welded steel or Damascus steel. I have two billets prepared. Let's go ahead and start with these two and we'll see where we get. Let's do it. And just like that, we're ready for round two. All right, so here we are at round two, and I've already forge welded this billet together and I know it's solid, so I'm gonna start hitting it pretty hard and trying to get it to get some length and some width. I'm using the spring fuller tool that I made quite some time ago to try to help aid in that process. It's something I'm gonna have to remake. I'm using an extension cord here to keep the dies a little closer together. This thing has really been used and abused over the last year or so that I've used it. Anyway, it really does do a good job, and it does help me out here to kind of pinch the material lengthwise. You'll have to remember too, I've got two billets in here and I'm cycling them both in and out. And in this clip, you can see one of the billets, I'm hitting it just about as hard as I possibly can, and that's where I run into a problem. Okay, well, unfortunately, I didn't get that on camera, but I just had one of the pieces split right in the middle. And obviously I took a chisel to this in the vise to split them apart. Both of these halves seem to be solid. It looks like just this one area here didn't forge weld, so that really stinks. But that's why I decided to make two of these billets instead of one. So I'm hoping that I can just cut these apart and then maybe make a couple of knives out of these ones, and we'll just have the other billet for our Damascus. This weekend I was showing my brother the progress that I was making, and what I did was I ground off the end here, right at the end, and I ground it back to bare metal, and I etched it to see where the pattern was, and we were talking about it, and then I didn't clean it up. I just left it and I got busy doing something else. Well, I'm not an expert in this, but my theory would be that the ferric chloride got in here and ate away maybe a little bit, enough to where it wasn't able to fully forge weld. And a second ago, off camera, I had it up here and I was hitting it as hard as I absolutely could with my 5-pound sledgehammer, and it all pretty much came apart in a couple of big blows. So anyway, that's a bummer, but not gonna let this get us down. We're gonna clean this up and keep working on the one solid piece. Let's keep at it. All right, so here we are several days later, and I've got that billet that's split in half. I've got a thin piece and a thick piece. You can see me here working on the thinner of the two, and I decided to draw it out and round it over, put it in the vise, and do a low layer twist pattern on it. And it turned out pretty good. I'm not going to show a whole lot of the process of that in this video, but I will show you a finished product off of that billet. This other one you see me hitting here is the thicker of the two, and that one's going to be the main focus for this video. Obviously the twist pattern is kind of self-explanatory. You get the metal hot, you twist it, and then the different metals kind of develop a pattern while you're twisting it. The other one I'm going to have to introduce a pattern into. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the ballpark of 7 to 8 layers, and so it's not a super high layer count. In fact, it's pretty much a go my plus a couple, hence the title of this video. But here in this next clip, you'll see me kind of continuing to work it out and begin to introduce a pattern into it. All right, now that we've got the majority of the profiling done off of that billet, we're ready to give it a quick test etch. And this is really just trying to see if we even have a pattern of some sort. And clearly you can see the blade isn't finished. I pretty much just ground one side of it just to make sure that we could see some sort of a pattern. And I'm dipping it in ferric chloride here just for a few seconds to see what we see. And there you can see at least there's something that looks like 15 and 20, and some 1080 is starting to show up, and you kind of see that mountaintop or heartbeat pattern come into the blade. This next portion here is just me doing a little bit of work towards the tang, just kind of dressing up the blade before we get ready to heat treat it. And I like to also think about the handle during this time, kind of start to prep some of the materials. I don't show a whole lot of that in this video because I've shown it a bunch. Here you can see I'm getting ready to heat treat the blade. I've already done the thermocycling, but one thing I don't show often that you may be able to hear here is that I am cycling the forge on and off. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I'm trying to hold a certain temperature prior to sticking it in the oil. I've got it kind of where I want it, and so my theory is by turning it on and off, it will hopefully help hold that temperature. And you can see here, pretty successful quench. Wasn't a whole lot of a fireball going on. I think I got the right temperature. And here's a quick shot of it pretty much straight out of the oil and kind of what it looks like. And after that, just cleaning it back up on the belt grinder and doing any sort of final preparation to the bevels and some of the parts that are going to be on this knife. All right, so we have made it to the end of part 1 of the Damascus slash Gomai billet blades. I don't know what we're calling this episode. Pretty much have the blade ready to go for the next episode. I've got a little bit of work still to do with this thing, but the main components are here to finish this thing out. It's definitely a pretty cool profile. It's one that I don't do a lot, so that in and of itself is kind of neat. And got the guard fit up on there pretty well. Got a piece of bloodwood for the handle, and I may also incorporate another like cap piece or butt cap piece to it. I'm not really sure yet. Gonna think that part through, but yeah, anyway, really excited to finish this out. I've got a little bit more hand sanding to do. You can see some of the scratches here. There's a couple of good scratches on the top. We're going to try to get those out. And then, yeah, part 2 will be pretty much etching the blade and finishing out the handle, putting an edge on it, that sort of thing. And then we'll be able to see what this thing looks like at the end of next episode. Really appreciate you guys watching. Before I go, I do want to show you the other half of the billet, the one that I did the twist on. I've already shown it in another video that I put out, but if you haven't seen it and you're watching this video, then here's what we got. We have the low layer twist Damascus dagger is what I'm calling it. So not super impressive, but it is twist Damascus, and it's forged by hand, and it's my first one. So it's definitely something cool to hold on to kind of give me a little bit of, you know, some encouragement to continue with the whole Damascus thing. It's a ton of work. Forging Damascus by hand literally is a ton of work. And if you've done it, then you know, and if you haven't done it, you ought to. You ought to give it a try. If you make knives and you don't do hand-forged Damascus, give it a try. It may give you appreciation for some of the things that people create. I wish that I had a power hammer or a press. Maybe one day I will, but for now, just got the anvil and the hammer. So anyway, yeah, it turned out pretty cool. I don't even know if you can technically call it Damascus. I'm going to call it Damascus, but to each their own, I suppose. And in this one, I knew that there was a lot of flaws in it, so I wasn't going to try to make it a masterpiece. It's a flawed hand-forged knife, and I'm okay with that. Pretty much have the exact same materials going on in both of these blades, so, you know, I think that it may make a pretty cool set of knives. Anyway, thanks so much for sticking around. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think of both of these things, or if you have any tips in finishing out Damascus, getting the colors to pop and that sort of thing. I'm new to it, so I don't know a whole lot of tips and tricks, but any help would be appreciated. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for stopping by and hanging out with me and spending your time. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
I do not believe I'll be showing this part in the video. I don't think I'll show this part in the video. I do not show this part in the video. It's a very, very tasty blade. A very, very tasty blade. Weirdo. He's a weirdo. Very strange. He's a very strange guy.